Good evening. Thanks for joining us at Awaz News. I'm Kubrali and I'll be taking you through big news across Canada.
Toronto couple charged after $13 million worth of drugs seized by RCMP CBSA. More competition needed in grocery to help stabilize food prices, Freeland. Ontario expert panel urges end to post-secondary tuition freeze. Emergency alert test issued in Ontario. Brampton man driving father's Corvette caught going more than triple the speed limit, police. 100 Vancouver police sent to protect Trudeau after protest surrounds restaurant. Homicide detectives called in after 4 pedestrians struck by vehicle in Toronto parking lot.
Those were the headlines, and now let's jump through the details.
A 23-year-old Brampton man driving his father's Corvette was allegedly caught by police going 3 times the legal speed limit. In a post to Twitter on Tuesday, Peel Police said the driver was stopped at Humber West Parkway and Queen Street. The posted speed limit in the area is 60 kilometers per hour. The driver, police said, was clocked at a speed of 186 kilometers per hour. Police said the driver was charged with stunt driving and his license was suspended for 30 days. As well, the Corvette was impounded for 2 weeks, and an image from the traffic stop shows the vehicle hooked up to a tow truck. Hundreds of pro-Palestinian protesters surrounded a Vancouver Chinatown restaurant where Prime Minister Justin Trudeau was dining Tuesday night, with scores of police sent to control the crowd that was chanting for a ceasefire in the Israel-Hamas war. Sergeant Steve Addison said police used a taser to subdue one man who was arrested for assaulting an officer while another was arrested for obstruction. Addison told a news conference that police were concerned about specific actions by the Chinatown protesters, including the moving of protective barricades. He said 100 officers attended what he called a spontaneous protest by about 250 people just before 10 p.m. He said the officers had been sent to control the crowd so Trudeau could leave the restaurant. Videos showed protesters waving Palestinian flags, shouting slogans and jeering Trudeau outside the Barghira restaurant and cocktail bar on Main Street in Chinatown. Edison said a 27-year-old man from Coquitlam, British Columbia, was arrested after an officer was punched in his face and her eyes were gouged while she was trying to disperse the crowd. He said the officer was taken to the hospital. Other videos posted early in the evening show Trudeau being heckled by protesters inside Wids, a restaurant in a different part of the city. Trudeau is seen speaking to other diners, then embracing celebrity restaurateur Vikram Vij, who accompanies the Prime Minister as he leaves the restaurant, trailed by chanting protesters. Charlotte Cates, an organizer with the Samidon Palestinian prisoner Solidarity Network, said she was at both protests. She said the protesters could not sit by and let political leaders go out ordinary business. We want Canada to take a real position on this issue and not simply say that, the Israeli occupation should be restrained, she said. Earlier Tuesday, Trudeau had urged Israel's government to exercise maximum restraint in its war against Hamas, which has included regular airstrikes in Gaza. A test of Canada's emergency alert system was performed on Wednesday across most of the county. In Ontario, the test was issued at 12:55 p.m. TVs, compatible wireless devices, and radios all broadcasted the notification. Alert Ready, the system responsible for issuing the alerts, allows authorized government agencies to light up most smartphones and TVs when there is a perceived threat to life. Those emergency notifications can include national security threats, environmental warnings, and more commonly, Amber Alerts. Wednesday's test included messaging displayed on compatible devices accompanied by a distinctive tone. This test of the Ontario Alert Ready system. There is no danger to your health or safety, the notification read. If this was an actual emergency, you would now see instructions for protecting yourself. For those who are deaf, hard of hearing, blind, or partially sighted, Alert Ready and alternate formats of the notification may have been issued. However, not every alerting authority or device has the compatibility to produce or receive these formats according to the system. Alert Ready was developed by federal, provincial, and territorial emergency management officials as well as Environment and Climate Change Canada, Palmorex, the broadcasting industry, and wireless service providers. Together, these partners work to ensure Canadians receive alerts immediately and know when to take action to stay safe, the operators of Canada's emergency alert system said. Alberta and Northwest Territories did not take part in Wednesday's test. Two surveys will follow the test. One to improve the accessibility opens in a new tab of the alert system, and a general public survey opens in a new tab to improve the system overall. Members of the public are asked not to call 911 for information about the test. A government-commissioned report on the finances of Ontario's universities and colleges says the province should both end its tuition freeze and increase per-student funding to those institutions. The progressive Conservative government introduced a 10% tuition cut in 2019 as it cancelled the former Liberal government's free tuition program for low and middle-income students and has frozen fees at that level since then. That has forced post-secondary institutions to increase their dependence on international student tuition, which is considerably higher than for domestic students. Meanwhile, the Council of Ontario Universities has said those institutions receive the lowest amount of operating grant funding per full-time student for all the provinces. The expert panel's report today says the province should increase direct support for both colleges and universities, and the government should allow for tuition fee increases. Colleges and Universities Minister Jill Dunlop says before agreeing to any tuition increases, she needs to ensure colleges and universities are operating as efficiently as possible. A driver has been arrested after 4 pedestrians were struck by vehicle in a northeast Toronto parking lot on Wednesday afternoon, one of whom later died of their injuries. Police say the collision occurred at approximately 12:40 p.m. outside an apartment building near the intersection of Victoria Park Avenue and Cassandra Boulevard. A total of 3 people were taken to hospital, including an adult woman who was later pronounced dead. The 2 other adult victims in hospital are believed to have non-life-threatening injuries. Meanwhile, a 4th victim was assessed by paramedics at the scene but did not require hospitalization. There is some information that these people were struck intentionally, and that is why homicide is investigating, Duty Inspector Kerry Fernandez told reporters at the scene. We don't have any information on a motive at this point. Fernandez said that the driver of the vehicle remained on scene following the collision. It is not clear what charges, if any, the driver will face. Police have also not said whether the driver had any sort of relationship with the pedestrians who were stuck. We are in the very early stages of this investigation, Fernandez said. A lot of information is still coming in. A man and woman from Toronto have been charged after $13 million worth of drugs were allegedly seized from their vehicle and property, police say. On March 4th, a semi-truck attempted to enter Canada at the Ambassador Bridge in Windsor, Ontario, according to a release issued Wednesday by the Royal Canadian Mounted Police RCMP. At first, the vehicle appeared to be carrying a legitimate shipment of goods, but upon further inspection, border agents discovered what they suspected to be methamphetamines hidden with the truck's load, the release said. Police said the driver was arrested and subsequently released after a joint investigation conducted by Windsor RCMP's Border Integrity Unit and the Canadian Border Services Agency's CBSA Intelligence and Enforcement Operations Division. Marvin Watson, 31, of Toronto was arrested as the suspected organizer of the shipment. The accused was arrested while operating a moving van at his Toronto residence. During the arrest, police said 120 kilograms of cocaine was seized. His partner, Maria Kiguru, 33, also resident of Toronto, was also arrested on suspicion of having been involved in the alleged criminal activity. Subsequent search warrants executed on couple's home resulted in the seizure of 100 kilograms of methamphetamine, 1 kilogram of opium, 2 kilograms of MDMA, and several kilograms of marijuana, the release stated. Officers also found evidence of possession of proceeds of crime and money laundering, it continued. As a result of this investigation, RCMP and CBSA prevented $13 million worth of harmful drugs from hitting Canadian streets, the release stated. The couple faces 10 charges total, all relating to the alleged importation and trafficking of illicit substances. At this time, Watson remains in custody while Kiguru has been released and awaits her next court appearance. Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland says more competition is needed in Canada's grocery sector as consumers grapple with the rising cost of living. Speaking at a press conference in Mascouche, Quebec, Freeland said major changes are needed to Canadian competition law in order to help stabilize prices. Her comments came after two of the country's major grocers reported higher profits and sales in the most recent quarter. As Canadians increasingly look to save money, Loblaw and Metro said they have been converting stores to discount banners and are seeing higher sales growth in private label brands. This fall, the federal government called upon the major grocers to stabilize food prices, and last month, Industry Minister Francois-Philippe Champagne announced that Loblaw, Metro, Empire, Walmart, and Costco had presented their plans, which included discounts and price freezes. The industry is also nearing the completion of a grocery code of conduct meant to provide guidelines for fair dealings between retailers and suppliers.
This was all from us today. I'm Kubra Ali, and I'll see you back tomorrow, same time, same channel. Have a good night.